seen one of these before? This is an angle grinder with a cutoff wheel on it. That specifically is what we're going to be talking about today, using the cutoff wheel aspect of this grinder. This wheel is turning at 11,000 RPM. If you jam this thing into the work and that wheel explodes, then you're in real trouble. You've got to be aware of flying debris from what you're cutting, flying sparks and fire hazards. And you got to think about what's happening to the offcut. So let's say I'm cutting here. What's going to happen to this piece? Is it going to land on my toe? If I'm cutting a large section of steel on a boat, boat's upside down, I'm cutting some steel out. What's going to happen with that? Is it going to offset? Is it going to kick back? There are three sort of major classes. You got your gasoline-powered grinders. And I think we can all appreciate the outfit this guy is wearing. Once again, real concentration on safety there. The cape, I think, really helps with speed of the job. The guard, that's right here. This is movable and should be positioned according to how your sparks are going to fly when you're doing your cut.
I got a question there. What's an arbor there, Mark?
An arbor. This right here is the arbor. It's also known as the spindle. Okay, so that's what the wheel is actually bolting onto. This is an inner flange. When you guys put your grinders together at the end of the class here, you'll notice that this has a slot in it, and that fits right down, locks into place on here. Okay, and you put your wheel in on top of that. Go into pairs, groups of 2, and just count for a minute how many ads, if you can, you saw on the way to school. I'd also like you to think about, as you're talking about that, just think about the different venues for advertising. This is the advertising I see on my way to school in the morning. Advertising, it is everywhere. So how much of a difference does that Coke machine down the hall really make? We are not willing to elect a government that will spend on education, then we got to get the money from somewhere else. And just come up with 3 ideas for how you might regulate advertising in your schools so that you can responsibly take money from these corporations which want your market share.
I think you have to.
I think you can.
Why hide it from them? It's going to happen anyways.
I just have a couple of ideas for how we might control advertising.
I live in a smaller community, and they have a mill there. I totally encourage a relationship with them.
Absolutely. So how are you going to keep them from taking over your hallways, Mr. Ford?
Branding comes into your school regardless whether or not you're profiting from it or not.
You guys? Anything for us?
I don't know.